So here's your dilemma. The dysfunctional brain that has been changed has to decide that it wants to overcome its own dysfunction. As the addiction worsens, the greater the brain abnormality. So this is why someone can't just stop. It's not possible to just stop, because the more dysfunctional the brain, the less the decision making is there. And that's why it's difficult and why people often need help. So another thing that's happening in the brain, this is a picture of the synapse in our brain, of just one neurosynapse, and the neurotransmitters that are activated by different drugs. So it may be morphine, it may be nicotine, it may be marijuana, but whatever it is, like drugs that block dopamine pump are cocaine and amphetamine. Drugs that activated alcohol, ketamine, those types of drugs. So this place in the middle, this place right here in the middle between the receptor and the transmitter, the transmitter is releasing, let's say, dopamine into the synapse. I call that the playground. And there's some drugs that will block the drugs being taken back up. It's like a recycle system. So a neurotransmitter is released into the playground, and then it goes through the playground, and then it is taken back up into the recycle, the receptor sites, and it recycles. But when there's drugs that block the reuptake, it keeps those drugs in the playground. And so it keeps them more active. So for instance, drugs that many antidepressant drugs, serotonin reuptake blockers that keep more serotonin in the playground, is what raises a person's mood. It's keeping the serotonin there longer. So I hope that makes sense, that the drugs are mimicking the neurotransmitters. And after a while, let's say someone's doing methamphetamine. What they're teaching their brain, because they've got the artificial drugs, the artificial neurotransmitters, they're mimicking them. So it's teaching the brain, oh, I don't have to release, say, serotonin or whatever the drug is that it's blocking. I don't have to release that now. So then when a person stops using, the brain doesn't know to release those neurotransmitters that are the feel-good ones. And so they get depressed. So the brain is not functioning as it needs to stay balanced because of the artificial, neurotransmitters. The good news is that the brain can heal, but it takes time. And the brain can change back over time. For some, it may take years for it to change back to normal. But you can see a normal PET scan here. The ones on the top row, the yellow and the red is the active part of the brain. This is the part of the brain that shows activity in certain areas. You can see the reduced brain activity even after 10 days of abstinence from a drug. And you see and this is for an addicted person, you see that there's a lot of dark areas and very little bright areas of activity. On the bottom picture, even after 100 days, the brain is starting to recover. But depending on the drug, there's differences in how much brain activity there is even after 100 days. And this is all those neurotransmitters working properly in the brain. And we have so much information now about brain scans that is very helpful to us to know how someone is healing from this. And so we know now what areas of the brain are affected by what drugs. So let's talk about drug classifications. We have depressant drugs, and we'll talk about what ones are in those categories. This also includes nicotine. We have stimulants, narcotics, marijuana and hashish fall into a category. PCP is kind of in a category by itself because of the nature of the drug. Hallucinogens, inhalants, steroids, and we'll talk a little bit about all of these different drugs. So we're going to look at different ones and which ones do what in the body. So we look at sedative hypnotics. This is in the depressant category, and these are called central nervous system depressants. And this would be tranquilizers, sleeping pills, alcohol, anesthetics, and antihistamines. This is why antihistamines make us sleepy, because they are a depressant in the depressant category. They depress the central nervous system. There's street names for barbs or barbiturates, benzos or benzodiazepines, GHB, Liquid-X, nerve pills, Finnies, GA Homeboy, grievance, bodily harm, R2s, Reds, Roofies. I mean, we can go on with all the different street names for these different drugs.